Ciao.
Realized you'd forgotten where you parked your car.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
What's the right tip? Do you have a pet? Do you believe in the power of a curse?
When we're going to cut in. So.
Well, I mean, that's part of the whole shtick, isn't it? It's part of the whole thing. The theater of the mind is... I'm sorry, hang on one second. Bart Busschots is here with us, everybody. Bart Busschots, a host of Let's Talk Apple and Let's Talk Photography. And you can find out about both of those and find out more about Bart. See the lovely pictures he takes of the trains and of the sort of the grey and yet also green mornings in Ireland. Best way to do all that. B Busschots, BBUSSCHOTS, B Busschots on Twitter is the way to do that.
Indeed. I wish I'd picked a better username because I was an early Twitter user. I could have gotten a reasonable username, but I was too stupid.
Well, no, I understand. I kind of wish I hadn't done... Well, it's both good and bad that I chose macOS Ken. It's at macOS Ken on Twitter for people who want to follow me. And the good thing about that is it's easy to remember. The bad thing about that is sometimes people get upset about the things I say on Twitter. I'm following macOS Ken. I'm not following Ken Ray. And I'm like, yeah, I wish I had called everything something different. And if I ever perfect a time machine, the first thing I'll do is kill Hitler. But the second thing I'll do is go back and make sure that I get my naming conventions correct for all the stuff I do. The conceit, by the way, for this show is, people are flipping the dial. And so, of course, the conversation, it's come right in the middle of whatever it was we were talking about.
That sort of sound of the old long wave radio.
That's what that is. Well, FM, I think. I stole that from some album. I'm not going to say which one because I don't want them to sue me. But anyway. Right. Okay. So I really tried hard not to have this topic. I really tried hard, but you suggested it, and I was intrigued by the way you wrote it up. Because as I mentioned earlier this week, if you're just catching the show for the first time, neat. That's really wonderful. And you should go back and listen to the other 100-something, 200-something, however many we've done so far. But you said that you don't think that Apple is being disingenuous on China. You don't think they're being hypocritical on China. You say... I actually have a defined and well-reasoned opinion about China. Apple is neither hypocritical nor wrong, in your opinion. Mm-hmm. First of all, what are we talking about? And second, what are you talking about?
Well, yourself and Alison had a conversation a few weeks back about Apple, and I can't remember whether it was you felt that either Tim Cook was full of bleep when he said he valued privacy, or Apple should be out of China. But how can they be in China and say they value privacy? One of these two must give. Right. Was sort of the impression I got, right? So, am I being fair?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I was going to say, should I correct you now or should I wait until later? Here's what I'm saying. And you are free to go ahead. I mean, whether this changes your calculus on this whole thing or not, you're free to go ahead and say what you wanted to say. And I'm not against it. I think China is a hornet's nest dipped in oil that you are required to hug for some reason.
That is an image I will never get out of my mind.
Yeah, there you go. You're welcome.
Extremely accurate.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Really quickly, I'll try to boil it down in like 1 minute. Okay. I am not saying that Apple is full of it when they say that they value privacy. I'm saying Apple needs to stop saying that privacy is a fundamental human right. And I think Apple needs to stop saying privacy is a fundamental human right because they keep dealing with China. And China has made it clear that China does not think that privacy is a fundamental human right. And here's the biggest problem I have with it. If you're saying that privacy is a fundamental human right and you are willing to work with someone who does not think that privacy is a fundamental human right, that's fine. That's fine. Just quit saying it, because the problem is what you're saying is that the people that China is subjugating are not human. And I know that's not what they're saying. I know that's not what they want to say, but that's the correlative, or at least that's the one that I hear. It's where you say all animals are created equal, but some are more equal than others. The problem is when we say that, we devalue the people upon whom other people are trotting. That's the issue that I have. So say you're all for privacy, quit saying it's a fundamental human right, because if you say it is a fundamental human right, you either need to stop dealing with the people who aren't treating it that way, or you need to stop saying it until you get a better idea. That's the problem that I have. It's just the messaging. It's just the messaging. I mean, I have many other problems with their dealings in China, but I understand it's really thorny. But to stand there and look holy while paying somebody who's cracking the whip is problematic to me.
Okay. And I don't think you're wrong, because there's about 20 different ways to look at China, and depending on which hour of the morning it is, I will look at it differently. But I will offer an alternative point of view.
Okay.
And so the way I look at it is, imagine I'm in China and I want to get the least bad option that is available to me, because unfortunately I am living in a country run by an extremely skilled, extremely able totalitarian dictator. And unlike certain other more flamboyant recent politicians, the Chinese are capable, which is very, very bad combination. Anyway,
right.
I imagine the world that would exist if Apple were not in China, and I imagine the world that exists now that Apple are in China, but tied by the rules of the Chinese government. Which of those two worlds sucks least?
Okay.
Right? Because none of these worlds are good. And Tim Cook is, again, not dictator of the universe. He can't he can't just magic away the Chinese Communist Party, and he just can't get rid of the Chinese government. So is it better for me to have the only choice to use Chinese companies who must keep on the good side of the Chinese government at all costs, and who are very strongly victim to one of the most corrosive things that happens in any totalitarian state? It's where companies start to preemptively censor because they don't want to have to be told, because then they're going to be in the bad books. So they over-censor them what they have to because they're very strongly incentivized to do so. Or do I want a company that's really cranky about the fact that they have to apply limitations, are really open about what it is that they cannot provide their Chinese customers, and will do their best to maximize the service they deliver to me, even though they can't give me everything they or I want? What I think is a better world where Apple say, here is what we want to offer to the world. In these countries, we are forced to turn off these features. And they're really open about it. When they announce a new thing, it's like it's not available in the United Arab Emirates, it's not available in China, and they list off the countries where it's not available.
Right.
So you really do know what it is that is being taken away from you. And the whole world can see. It's like a disinfectant light on this stuff. And Apple is incentivized to push as far as they can, whereas a Chinese company is incentivized to censor as much as they can. So I think the world is better with Apple in China for Chinese people.
Okay. I didn't say anything.
I genuinely believe that.
I didn't say anything about Apple leaving China. What's his name? The guy, I say what's his name. He's been a guest on the show many times. I consider him a friend. Brian Chaffin. Brian Chaffin says Apple needs to be out of China. There's no way Apple can get out of China. And there are, as you say, also just bad things that happen if Apple does, just get out of China, including for the Chinese consumers, also for the Chinese workforce, also for the rest of the planet, because no other part of the planet right now is set up to make as many iPhones as China is set up to make.
They're trapped. They're lump it up.
Well, they are now. I mean, I think they
fantastically well done. Like they were snared in, welcomed with open arms, and it's like, and now you can't leave.
Well, I mean, I think they'll find a way out eventually if they actually want to find a way out. I mean, what's going on in Vietnam as far as putting more of their Vietnam, India. I can't remember other places right off the top of my head, but yeah,
Korea surely is there too. Indonesia, there's quite a few places where there's factories and stuff opening.
Yeah. And then, of course, there's also the talk of even building stuff like here in the States. I mean, other places that's actually more expensive to produce stuff. So, yeah.
But it's not just China, because there's lots of countries that have local laws. So when you look at this, when you look at Apple's list of exceptions for their most recent privacy features in the upcoming versions of their OSs, it's not just China where they have to turn these things off. There are a lot of countries in the Middle East where they have repressive regimes as well.
Yeah.
So if you're going to be an international company, you have to follow the law in every country.
Yes.
And so you maximize what you do to meet your aims as well as you can without breaking the law.
Right. We're not in disagreement on that. I rankle every time they say that privacy is a fundamental human right. Because I'm a guy, look, I mean, that same week that you're talking about when Allison and I were talking, we also talked about great stories can change the world. Messaging is so much of both the successes and failures, I think, in the world. And the messaging on that, it just rubs me the wrong way, because it's like the They Might Be Giant song, "Your Racist Friend," right? I mean, because
because I don't know that song, and I genuinely love They Might Be Giants. I need to educate myself.
It's from the album Flood. It came out in 1990, which of course will make you feel old every time you start that album, because they say a brand new record for 1990. But the lyric in Flood the lyric in Your Racist Friend is basically calling somebody out who has no problem with the racism of their friend. The guy's like, first of all, your friend's a racist, so I don't like him, but I'm having a hard time dealing with you because you're dealing with them. I mean, it's really there's just the follow-on from that statement from Apple every time just kind of hits me wrong. And I'm not saying sweep it under the rug. I mean, you still have to talk about it. You still have to do something. But to say we believe that this thing is true for everybody, and then to continue to deal, openly with people who don't believe that, I worry about what it says about that billion people that they're serving, but not, to that level. Just change the name. Just change the way you're saying it. That's all I'm saying, because that's the thing that drives me bug.
Actually, it's the opposite. I think it's really important that Apple continue to say it and not to be cowed. I mean, if you look at the pressure that basketball and stuff has come under, not to say obviously true things about China.
Yeah.
And Apple are not bowing to that, and Apple are standing up
and
they
are.
Say what they say.
They absolutely are. There was that crowdsourced mapping app that they had to pull a couple of years ago when the riots were going on in Hong Kong.
Right, absolutely. They are meeting the letter of the law when they have to, right? If they have to pull an app, they have to pull an app, but they are not allowing it to cow their speech. Whereas you have people, CEOs of basketball teams, apologizing for saying that Taiwan, for saying that they believe Taiwan is an independent state, for saying that they believe that Hong Kong should be democratic.
Yeah.
Apple are not doing that. Apple have courage.
Has anybody asked Apple lately?
Well, I haven't heard Tim Cook change his rhetoric.
Okay. So he has said that he thinks that Hong Kong should be free and that Taiwan is its own country?
Okay, but so I'm not saying that Apple are saying that about Hong Kong. I'm saying that Apple continue to say it about human rights, and I think that's a good thing, that Apple continue to speak out in favor of privacy and these rights that China is against, even though Xi Jinping would like nothing more than to have Tim Cook quietened down.